And now, it's the new Steve Lewis Christmas Special, a very 70s Beach Boys Christmas. Brought to you by D. Wilson Steamboat Repair. Don't worry, Mr. Fulton, we'll get your steamboat going. And the Beaks of Eagles, unchanged in 10,000 years. And now your holiday host, Steve Lewis. Happy holidays to one and all, and welcome to my second Christmas special. This is going to be a nostalgic look back at Beach Boy Christmas recordings of the 1970s. I think we'll have some interesting surprises, so let's get started, shall we? What's this? Looks like my first holiday gift of the year. What could it be? Why, it looks like it's the Beach Boys' Child of Winter promotional single released in 1974. That reminds me of a very interesting tale from long, long ago. I hope you'd like to hear it. 'Twas 1980, and all through the land, I was tracking down records by my new favorite band. I was very determined, many miles I would log, to make sure I had the full Beach Boys back catalog. Finding their 70s albums was still easy to do, even Mike's Celebration and Pacific Ocean Blue. The late 60s were harder to find even then, but reissues could be found in most cutout bins. Pet Sounds had come out on reprise, Clad in Brown. Smiley Smile, Friends, Wild Honey 2020 twofers still were around. The pre-66 albums were all out of print, so I browsed the used stores for some copies in mint. They could all be tracked down at a price not too hardy, and I soon had them all from Safari to Party. For single releases, fewer wanted to sell some, but I soon found them all, even the B-side, You're Welcome. To complete my collection, I needed only one more, the Child of Winter single from 1974. For many years after, my search never ceased. There were a few thousand copies, it was barely released. I saw it just once at Wax Trax in Chicago. The $40 price tag made my mind boggle. I can't afford that, my heart sunk in my chest, and I walked from the store and continued my quest. In '82, Surf's Up showed a picture cover that's Dutch. When I saw it, I never wanted a record so much. I thought, this must be the kind of record of which I can't get enough, like an outtake from Holland or Carl and the Passions, So Tough. This must be a great record, the text here portends. Brian wrote it with Steve Kalinich, who worked with Dennis on Friends. It was finally found in the summer of 1984 on the Landlocked boot at a New York record store. And when I heard the music and the songs that they sang, it was much less like Holland and much more like Ding Dang. So I now have my own promo version of the Child of Winter single. It's a double A side, mono on one side, stereo on the other. For some reason, seemingly, promo copies are much easier to find than actually commercially released copies. Not sure if that's true, but that seems to be my experience. Of course, the material is now easily available like everything else. One of the places you can easily get it is on the Beach Boys Ultimate Christmas CD, which was released in 1998. It was a very difficult record to find back in the day, however. It was recorded on November 18th, 1974, and released on December 23rd, 1974, 2 days before Christmas. This is, I'm told, a lot of the reason that it's difficult to find. Very few copies made it into the stores. Apparently, a lot of them were pressed, at least this is what I'm told, and they didn't want to incur the extra cost of shipping them so close to Christmas, knowing they would all just get shipped back anyway. So they just sat in a warehouse, and apparently some people eventually helped themselves to some of the copies that are in circulation now. Not sure if that's true, but that's what I've been told. Anyway, it's a very, very unusual release, and it's a very unusual song. Because it came in 1974, and I'd seen copies of that Dutch picture sleeve, I thought this was going to be something along the lines of Carl and the Passions in Holland. Maybe sort of a Christmas version of All This Is That, so I was really, really eager to hear it. Of course, rather than being a last track of the early 70s Beach Boys, this is much more a preview of the late 70s Beach Boys, and the song owes more to Ding Dang than anything else. It begins with no intro at all. It's almost like you're just thrust into the song already in progress. Got a lead vocal by Mike and words that sound like they were written in about 5 minutes. It's like they're just anything about winter that they can come up with to rhyme, they throw in there. The song interpolates Here Comes Santa Claus, which is actually the high point. That little bit of melody added in there really is probably the best part of the single for me. There's a midsection with Christmas Comes and the Snow Covers All that's recited in that goofy Pied Piper voice that was used on Mount Vernon and Fairway, in that style at least. And in that way, it's probably the only thing that's really reminiscent of Holland that's on this single. You can hear Brian at the end singing Ding Dong Dingo the Bells as it fades out. I'm not really sure why this single was made. It doesn't sound like an A-side of a Christmas single or any other kind of single. Really surprised that Warner allowed them to release it. I'd love to know more of the backstory on that if anybody's got any additional info. This was the only Beach Boy release for Christmas, such as it is, in the 1970s. But of course, we know this was not the only Christmas recordings that the Beach Boys did in the 1970s. In 1977, the Beach Boys were looking for a way to fulfill their contractual obligation to give Warner Reprise one additional album. Apparently having very little material, inspiration, or enthusiasm, they hit upon the idea of doing a Christmas record. This would be easy for them to do, and they hoped Warner Reprise would like it because it might become a perennial holiday seller. So Mike and Alan, in the fall of 1977, adjourned to Maharishi International University in Fairfield, Iowa, to begin recording sessions there. Apparently Brian, Carl, and Dennis visited from time to time, didn't like it there, didn't contribute much, and it seems like it really fell pretty much then to Alan with some help from Mike to complete the album that became known as Merry Christmas from the Beach Boys. Presumably, the album was meant for release ahead of Christmas of 1978. As we know, Warner's rejected the album, and they went back to work for what became the MIU album. And we'll talk more about some of this when we discuss the MIU album in a future episode. 7 of the tracks recorded for Merry Christmas from the Beach Boys eventually found release in 1998 on the Beach Boys' Ultimate Christmas. Obviously, some of the tracks were older recordings, redubbed or finished with Christmas lyrics at MIU in October and November of 1977. According to the liner notes in Ultimate Christmas, some of them were recorded as Christmas songs during this period. Listening to the tracks themselves, I'm not sure that any of them actually began life as Christmas songs. The first track from these sessions on Ultimate Christmas is Santa's Got an Airplane, which is loop-de-loop with new lyrics. Loop-de-Loop, of course, was started in March of 1969 with overdubs later. Brian started it, Alan kind of took it over. It's not a particularly Christmassy track. I think Alan probably chose to use it, one, because it was a big production, it was kind of finished, there was some Brian involvement in it. And he probably was looking for a reason to get this thing out. It hadn't been released in any form up to that time. The next track, Christmas Time Is Here Again, is credited to Holly, Allison, and Petty with new lyrics by Al. It's clearly Peggy Sue with new lyrics. According to the liner notes in Ultimate Christmas, it was recorded in October and November of 1977. I suppose it's possible during the sessions for a Christmas album that they decided to adapt Peggy Sue as a Christmas song, but that just doesn't seem likely to me somehow. I'm not sure whether I'm misunderstanding something in the sequence of events or whether there's something wrong in the liner notes, but it doesn't make sense to me that they would, in the middle of a Christmas album, record Peggy Sue and then set it to Christmas lyrics. If anybody has any insight on that, please let me know. The third track was definitely not started as a Christmas song. What became Winter Symphony by Brian has an instrumental track recorded in 1975 or 1976 with vocals and sweetening added during those fall 77 sessions at MIU. Similarly, the next track, I Saw Santa Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree, credited to Brian and Alan, began life during that same 1975-76 period as Hey There Mama, written by Brian. Alan finished it at MIU with vocals from his 2 young sons, Matt and Adam. The next track, Mele Kaliki Maka, also known as Kona Christmas, is credited to Jardine and Love, with Mike and Al providing the lead vocals. The booklet in Ultimate Christmas also makes it sound as if this was written as a Christmas song, but I'm not sure. There's nothing inherently Christmassy about the track. I suspect it was started as Kona Coast, but Ultimate Christmas indicates it was started and finished during that October-November 1977 period, when presumably they were recording a Christmas album. I have the same question about the next track, Bells of Christmas. Again, the booklet in Ultimate Christmas seems to indicate that it started life as a Christmas song and was readapted for the MIU album as Bells of Paris. Again, the track is not at all Christmassy inherently, and there's still a reference in the lyric to the Bells of Notre Dame, which makes me think that it probably started as Bells of Paris, was adapted as a Christmas song, and then put back to become Bells of Paris on the MIU album. Again, if anybody has any insight into that, I would very much love to hear it. The last of these tracks on the Ultimate Christmas CD is Morning Christmas by Dennis. This is certainly the highlight. It's a beautiful track, presumably recorded during the Bamboo sessions. It was recorded not at MIU, but at Brothers Studios in Santa Monica, and contributed for the album. As one would expect from Dennis, it's a beautiful ethereal work, and certainly the highlight of this set, and probably would have been the highlight of Merry Christmas from the Beach Boys had it been released. There were other tracks recorded from the album. According to the Surf's Up book, there was Christmas Day, not the song from 1964, probably Alone on Christmas Day, written by Mike Love and Ron Altbach, which was re-recorded and released by Mike in 2015, after a French rock band, Phoenix, who heard it on a boot, asked to cover it for A Very Murray Christmas. Phoenix's version, featuring Bill Murray, David Johansen, and Jason Schwartzman, was issued as a download in a 7-inch in December of 2015. Also apparently slated to help fill out the Merry Christmas from the Beach Boys album was Go and Get That Girl, written by Ed Tilley and Ron Altbach with a lead vocal from Carl. It's a galloping, upbeat song with a big horn section and some awkward tempo changes in lyrics. Carl seems to be struggling to sing it, and it's not a very good song. There's one line in the lyric, "Her love could make you feel like Christmas Day," which seems to be the only tie to the holiday season in the entire song. Two other not particularly Christmassy songs were also apparently meant to help fill out Merry Christmas from the Beach Boys, including Seasons in the Sun, which saw release this year on the Feel Flows box set, and Michael Row Your Boat Ashore, sung by Mike from the 15 Big Ones sessions. There was also apparently going to be two versions of I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus, the original version and a rockin' rewrite sung by the Beach Boys' children. And finally, there was going to be a Christmas medley of God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen, Come All Ye Faithful, Hark the Herald Angels Sing, and We Wish You a Merry Christmas, sung by the Beach Boys and their children. Also, according to Surf's Up, Mele Kalikimaka and Bells of Christmas were outtakes and weren't meant to be included on the Merry Christmas from the Beach Boys album. Elsewhere, I've heard that there's a song called Sad, Sad Christmas, which presumably is Mike's Sad, Sad Summer with different lyrics. I've never heard that, seen that version around, but I have heard that it exists. All in all, we can certainly understand why Warner rejected the album. It wasn't a very good album. It wasn't a very good Christmas album. It wasn't even, it sounds like, a particularly festive type of album. It really sounds like something that was scraped together just to fulfill an obligation. Though Mike and Alan turn in workmanlike performances, that's really the best you can say about it. It's very professional, but you get the idea that they're just kind of punching the clock, trying to get this thing done, and that they'd much rather be doing something else. So I hope you've enjoyed this look at Beach Boy Christmas recordings of the 1970s. As always, I'd love to hear your comments, love to hear what you think about this, and if anybody can confirm whether anything on Merry Christmas from the Beach Boys was originally conceived as a Christmas recording, I'd love to get that sorted out if you can help me with that. While I'm thinking of it, I want to say once again, I really appreciate all the great comments. It's been so much fun and so educational for me. I've learned so much additional about the Beach Boys through your comments. Please keep them coming. Great to hear from all of you. Thank you very much. And to all of you, have very happy holidays, whatever you're celebrating. I hope you have a great time. Have great holidays. Ho, ho, ho. We'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.